The morning sun shines on the gleaming hide of a muscular ranch horse. The aroma of bacon and coffee drifts from the wood cook stove at a cow camp. Silver spurs jingle as the men and women of the West get set for another day in the saddle. From the heart of Canada's finest ranching country, this is the Spirit of the West with rancher and horse trainer Hugh McLennan and his collection of music, poetry, and conversations with the folks who live and work with horses and cattle in the Spirit of the West.
As you probably know, I love branding season. My favorite thing to do is to be on a good horse in a pen of cows and calves and take those calves to the ground crew, but I put in my years of flanking calves on the ground, running the knife and applying the brands, and I have to admit that I've always felt for those calves when the iron hits their hide. And a very short time later, of course, they forget all about it, but I was really excited when I ran into my old friend Dr. Larry Frishske, DVM, an industry vet with the company Solvet. And he told me that in the very near future, these calves will not feel much pain thanks to a brand new innovation.
Like the one rancher said, so the calves looked day after branding looked like they did the day before he branded, and I thought, wow, this is pretty amazing.
And Dr. Frishske will share that exciting news this week, and I'll be talking to the one and only Martin Black as well. And Baxter Black has a great story about a ranching family.
Well, the morning after the big lotto drawing, Mel called the toll-free number to hear him read the winning numbers. He couldn't believe what he heard.
And see if you can figure out what Gary will be talking about on the Rangeland News.
A recent Farm Journal poll indicated maybe a third of farmers plan on using them over the next year.
And the Cowboy Poetry Spotlight is a pretty good fit for what Dr. Frishske will be talking about.
We were standing around the branding fire, swapping some old yarns, getting jobs and tools lined out and waiting on the irons.
On the Urban Saddles and Western Wear Horse Training file, a listener was impressed with the way a horse performed in the arena, so he bought him. And when he took him home and tried to ride him out in the hills, oh boy, it didn't even seem like the same horse. What happened? And we have a historic moment in Western music history on our classic Song of the West this week. And Mike Blakely gets us started.
We rode the ranges way back when the ranges had no fences. We took leave of our senses when we strung 'em all around. Where once we used to parlay with the Indians in their lodges, now the farmer's milk cow dodges as his harrow turns the ground. We killed off all the buffalo and elk, deer and pronghorns. We've stocked so many longhorns, now the tall grass no more stirs. But we're too proud to think about our saddles getting dusty and our rowels are growing rusty. Should we hang up our old spurs? We've been too long in the saddle, too long with the rattle of the longhorns on the cattle. We've squandered our last chance. We came to shake a leg, but now it's time to pay the fiddler. The boys have stayed too long at the dance. We never had much schooling, but we learned the things we should have. We learned some things we could have done without knowing at all. Now we don't draw no time working jobs we hadn't rather. We're all waiting for the gather, getting scarcer now each fall. But I guess we've had some fun, probably more than other fellers. And I know we've heard the bellers of the cows some in our sleep. And I guess we've seen some sights, and I swear we've had some chuckles. And we've busted saddle buckles, shipping cows too poor to keep. We've been too long in the saddle, too long with the rattle of the longhorns on the cattle. We've squandered our last chance. We came to shake a leg, but Now it's time to pay the fiddler. The boys have stayed too long at the dance. We've seen the gals we love all up and marry other fellas, and we're damn fine storytellers, but we haven't got no wives. We've rolled up all the rugs, and we've tuned up that old fiddle. We've waltzed into the middle of the dance floor and our lives. We've had our finer hours, you can see it in our faces. We've all earned our places through the blizzard and the stampede. We cannot mend our ways, 'cause we're all too damn bullheaded. But there's common ground we've tread, and on one thing we're agreed. We've been too long in the saddle, too long with the rattle of the longhorns on the cattle. We've squandered our last chance. We came to shake a leg, now it's time to pay the fiddler. The boys have stayed too long at the dance. We came to shake a leg, now it's time to pay the fiddler. The boys have stayed too long at the dance.
What longtime veterinarian Dr. Larry Frishske told me recently was something that really made us feel good about what's happening in the cattle industry as we speak. I dropped in on the Solvet booth at the main event, and here's how it went.
Dr. Larry Frishske, much-traveled veterinarian. Haven't seen you for a while. How
It's been a while, Hugh. Yeah. Thanks. It's been really good to see you again, and we're doing good. I'm sort of on a bit of a new venture with a new company, so it's going well.
I hear you've been traveling to quite a few brandings, and as the summer goes on, you plan to go to quite a few more, and you're not going to be on a horse healing calves. What are you going to be doing?
I'm going to be on the ground administering a painkiller, anti-inflammatory drug to calves, fairly new product in the market, and it's certainly the direction the industry has to go to keep up to the expectations of our consumers. They kind of want to know how we're raising these, and pain is one of the first things in their mind, the way it seems anymore. And this product is the answer to what we do to these little guys on the ground when we're doing a branding, for sure.
Now, it's kind of interesting to picture how this would work, because, of course, if you've got 300, 400, 500 calves to brand in a morning or in an afternoon, the process gets pretty streamlined. The roper drags them in, and if it's a bull calf, he's castrated, he's branded, he's ear tagged, he's given a 7 or 8 way injection, and you're adding one more layer to this. How does this actually work?
Well, this product is an oral product, so it's administered through a dose gun with a 9-inch hook on it. In my case, I can keep up to at least 5 people on the ground, and just by bending down a little. I can't bend too far, I'm too damn old. But anyway, just get the end of that nozzle in the back of the tongue and administer a dose. Reasonably small dose, 3 cc's per 100 pounds, and it's a thicker gel-type liquid, so it's not very easy for them to get rid of.
This is a fascinating development, and you'll hear more about it when the Spirit of the West continues right after this. Welcome back to the Spirit of the West. The grass is growing. Down in the valley, the early hay crops are coming off, and it's spring turnout in the high country. Cows, calves, and bulls being trailed up to the summer range. Calves wearing their brand new brands. And it's branding that we're talking about with veterinarian Dr. Larry Frishske.
All the ranchers, cattlemen I know don't want to cause any more stress or pain to their animals than they have to. And there's no question about it. Branding is, to a certain extent, painful. But the other thing is, how much is this going to cost? Because we're in a pretty tight market right now. How much per head?
Well, for sure. And I mean, there's been previous products that were, sort of almost in ranchers' views, for sure, cost prohibitive. And in this case, this product is still in around that $2 a head. depending on the size of your calf, of course, and everything else. But it's usually under $2 a head, and that's quite acceptable. And there's a lot of work done now that shows that is certainly paid back to you in dividends when you wean, because previous companies have done work, and we've done some now that show you're going to wean a 7.5, 8 pound heavier calf just from them not losing, the ability to get up and want to nurse for a couple days and the gain that they're going to lose in those 2 days.
Mm-hmm. Well, you've got a bull calf that has been turned into a steer, and that brand is going to burn for a few days. That could certainly affect his, the amount of time it takes him to get back to feeling normal again.
Very, very much so. And I guess I went into it last spring. We did about 20 brandings just to show this product and what it could do. And it was an eye-opener for me. And it's basically, like the one rancher said, so the calves day after branding looked like they did the day before he branded. And I thought, wow, this is pretty amazing.
And you know what? The product has many more potential applications that Larry will talk about after the fine Texas songwriter Donnie Bland's in a song I've always liked.
On a colt he's halfway broke, he whistles Laredo, the first song he heard as a child. He's dusty but trusty and steady from all the long miles. His talk somewhat slow, his legs somewhat bowed. He's rich without owning a thing, except the silver in his hair and gold in the sunsets he's seen. His home is the trail and his bed is the grass on the ground. All his neighbors wear horns, and his best friends were born of a string Cortez turned out. All he needs in the world is a waltz with a pretty girl, sometimes on Saturday night. A good horse to ride, to live his own life, and a soft place to lay when he dies. Now he's been in a few, and he's lost one or two, but he ain't one to hold him a grudge. He's rode through the snow and the four winds that blow. Sometimes he even slept in the mud. And he don't give a damn for a quitter or a man who don't have the heart to just try. But he'll stand to the end with a friend and never ask why. His home is a trail and his bed is the grass on the ground. All his neighbors wear horns, and his best friends were born of a string Cortez turned out. Now all he needs in this world is a waltz with a pretty girl, sometimes on Saturday nights. A good horse to ride, live his own life, then a soft place to lay when he dies. Just a good horse to ride, to live his own life, then a soft place to lay when he dies.
song is just called The Wrangler, and Donnie's written a lot of good songs with his writing partner Ed Bruce over the years. And now here's more about the new product, Molifam Oral Suspension, basically a painkiller for calves.
So the ropers bring a calf in, and he's on the ground, and you step up there, and ideally the first thing you do is get this painkiller into him. How long does it take for it to take effect?
Our data shows that we'll be up to therapeutic effects within 15 minutes. For an oral product, it's pretty amazing. And it will last for out to close to 3 days or a little more. We don't really know on the top end altogether, but that is just the perfect window that we need to cover on these little guys, because it often takes these little bull calves 2 to 3 days to get up and going again so that you can move them to summer pasture or whatever it is you need to do.
Would it have other applications besides what they're subjected to at Brandon's?
Well, again, the only thing that is on our label claim is it's for pain mitigation of either surgical or band castration, right? But veterinarians have picked up on this a lot, and they're using it for a lot of other painful procedures like tough calvings, C-sections. A lot of things we've done in the past. I said this at a meeting the other day, Hugh. I've done some awful damn painful things to cattle, and I've usually had it hidden under a nerve block, right?
Right.
But once that lidocaine wears off in a half hour or so, those poor old boys and girls were on their own.
Even, I'm thinking, dehorning of older animals.
Well, exactly. Dehorning is another big thing, and now we've got something that will cover that, and it's feedlots have picked up on it big time for even things like foot rot or peracute pneumonias and all these things. Anything involving
ran into a
pain.
Snag or something, and it's it's got to be pulled out. Oh, fascinating.
Yeah, it's been one of the neatest products I've worked with in all my years of being a vet. So it goes back a ways.
Well, if you're coming through BC again, give us a call. The coffee will be on for sure, and we'll sit down and talk some more.
That will be great. We're looking forward to this spring. I'm getting a bunch of brandings lined up just to try to get out to places we didn't get to last year. And out of the 20 we dealt with last year, there's not a single one that said that they would ever go back to doing a branding without it. So it's the way of the future. We got to embrace this kind of technology because
and it's definitely coming, and these developments are just wonderful for what they do for the animals that we love.
It's an eye opener to see what it can do for them. So, and I mean, we all care for the cattle we raise. We know that. And it's just the right thing to do for what we have available right now.
I just wonder if that old cowboy's out there and this horse steps right on his foot and the toenail goes black and his foot swells up. Could he give himself a dose?
I had several old cowboys come up at the end of brandings and said that, does this shit work on us too? And my answer said, yeah, I'm sure it does. And I said, well, if you've got some left, we'll give you all a shot. To be truthful, I am actually on the same active ingredient.
Are you really?
Right now. So it isn't meloxicam is sort of an anti-arthritic or this kind of thing for humans. So there is a human component too.
All right. Great to run into you, Larry.
Hey, and always good to have a chat.
Hopefully we'll talk again soon.
We sure will. Thanks again.
Now, this product again is called Molifam Oral Suspension from Solvet, and if you're interested, you can give Dr. Frishske a call at 403-829-4395. That's 403-829-4395. Next, Baxter Black and a neat true story about something that really happened to a ranching couple. A real nice musical combination, a song written by Gary Prescott, sung by Butch Falk. Then the Rangeland news when the Spirit of the West continues right after this.
Howdy, friends. This is Baxter Black on Spirit of the West with Hugh McLennan with a little peek at the Cowboy Bride. Ladies and gentlemen and followers of cowboy humor, in a moment of weakness, I, Baxter Black, have written another book. I appreciate it. Its title is Scrambled Wisdom. Almost isn't is it? Which almost makes sense. Well, our offer does make sense. Only $19.95 plus shipping. A solid gold guarantee. Call 800-654-2550. Online at BaxterBlack.com. All of the usual suspects were lined up behind the groom. The smell of cheap tequila rose from their side of the room. They looked like boneless chickens, plucked and feeling none too good, all victims of the night before's farewell to bachelorhood. The bride was making mental notes to have the best man flogged, to double-check the ladies' room that earlier had clogged, regretting that the rented tuxes weren't a better fit, and hoping that the photographs would not show up her zit. The preacher opened up his book and beamed a practiced smile. "We are gathered here together. Get that kid out of the aisle. He's standing on your train and leaving chocolate finger marks." She turned and hissed, "Get off my address or I'll feed you to the sharks." Just then the bridesmaid groaned and ran back towards the potted plants. The bug-eyed preacher stopped and stared, then cast his eyes askance. "It's morning sickness," said the bride. "She's probably gonna blow." "I've got it too," she whispered, "so just get on with the show." "The ring?" "The ring," the preacher asked the groom. But he was in a trance. The best man nudged him gently and then reached down in his pants. "My pocket's got a hole in it. The ring's gone down my boot." "Well, get it out," the bride replied. "I'm not too proud to shoot." In stocking foot, the best man helped the groom present the ring. The bridesmaid in her spotted dress stood by encouraging. But when they went to place the ring upon the groom's left hand, he keeled over backwards, knocking out the poor best man. The new bride caught the preacher's eye, impaled him with a glare. "He does," she said, "and so do I." Her challenge filled the air. "Then I pronounce you man and wife. Let nothing gang agley. I wish you all the very best. You may drag the groom away." Some might think this cowboy marriage was ordained an early death. But, friends, if you'd have seen her, not as long as she drew breath. She just threw him in the pickup, popped the clutch, and waved goodbye, with a dog up front beside her, looking life right in the eye. This is Baxter Black on Spirit of the West with Hugh McLennan. Thanks for listening.
As a rancher, nothing gives us more satisfaction than seeing happy, healthy calves and their mothers out on native grass. Because we care for cattle. And more producers are using Meloxicam oral suspension to minimize the stress on calves at branding time. Proven results and healthier, happier calves. Contact your vet and visit solvet.ca. Meloxicam, because it is the right thing to do. Well, this guy used to come up and give us a hand branding our calves a few years ago, and we've ridden some miles together with a song written by Gary Prescott. This is Butch Folk.
As the cattle all bed down for the evening, that old sun disappears behind the hill. An eagle cries out high above me, and I turn up my collar to the evening chill. I've been riding the pastures for a week now, 7 long days that I've been gone. This cowboy's mind keeps on stampeding to the woman he loves waiting there at home. So strike a lope and let's hit the trail, old partner. We'll fly like the wind while there's still light, across the miles that we're apart, to the one that owns my heart. We gotta make it home by tonight. Grass is stirrup deep across the meadow, and the cattle wintered fine again this year. This springtime riding lifts a cowboy spirit. The master's touch is everywhere out here. The flowers on the hillside are blooming. Winter's cold is just a memory. It's got this cowboy dreaming of a sweetheart and one last kiss beneath the live oak tree. So strike a lope and let's hit the trail, old partner. We'll fly like the wind while there's still light, across the miles that we're apart, to the one that owns my heart. We gotta make it home by tonight. moon is hanging over the mountains. Somewhere in the distance, a coyote bays. His hoofbeats echo softly down the canyon. The twinkling stars all come out to play. It's been too long since I've seen my darling. Miss her more every time I'm gone. But the distance between our hearts is getting closer, and it won't be long until we make it home. So strike a lope and let's hit the trail, old partner. We'll fly like the wind while there's still light, across the miles that we're apart, to the one that owns my heart. God, make it home by tonight. Looks like we're gonna make it home tonight.
Now the news of the Rangeland, a roundup of news and coming events from around the West.
Well, this could be the way of the future, and they might make a rancher or farmer's job much easier. Gary Crawford is standing by with an expert and the exciting developments in the fast-growing world of drones.
The use of drones on the farm.
It's definitely an industry that's going to take off in agriculture here in the next couple of years.
Take off. See what he did there? That's Kevin Cubbage, a technology expert with Virginia Tech Extension. Go Hokies, right?
Yes.
Yes. Kevin says a couple of years ago you were talking well over $1,000 or more just for a little basic drone. However,
prices really dropped, so it's making them easily attainable for our farmers.
Basic drone with a regular camera and an iPad to use with it and a case for it run you maybe $600 to $700, and there's a lot you can do with that.
So we could use it to survey our operation, crop damage during a natural disaster, herd management.
You can check on the condition of your barn roof or silo. And there are several apps and add-on devices that can check on crop health and soil moisture, you name it. In fact, Kevin says as far as possible uses for drones,
if you can think about it or dream it, eventually it's going to happen if it's not already there.
A recent Farm Journal poll indicated maybe a third of U.S. farmers plan on using them over the next year. Like Kevin said, it's going to take off. See, there it goes. Gary Crawford for the U.S. Department of Agriculture, Washington.
Yeah, watch your head, Gary. The CRTC, the Canadian Radio, Television and Telecommunications Commission, recently announced that Canada is setting up a fund of $750 million to ensure all citizens have access to home internet. Additionally, the CRTC developed a standard for home internet access, including download speeds of at least 50 megabytes per second and upload speeds of 10 megabytes per second, with the option of unlimited data. Now, currently, 18% of Canadians have no access to comparable internet standards, and the CRTC aims to reduce this percentage to 10% by 2021 and ultimately down to zero in the next 10 to 15 years. Now, some experts say that between 2022 and 2025, that number will expand to include every human on the planet, approaching 8 billion humans, and we're entering an age when the entire world is online at speeds of 1 megabyte per second or greater. Now, on a personal note, here at the ranch with our satellite service, I can upload this program that you're listening to at a maximum speed of about 60 kilobytes per second. Next regular cattle sale at the BC Livestock Co-op Yards in Kamloops is Tuesday, June the 12th, and you can get the entire schedule and watch the sales live online at bclivestock.bc.ca. Meanwhile, out at the Innisfail Auction Market, regular cattle sales every Wednesday, and June the 26th, it's that big machinery sale, and June 15th to 17th, of course, the Innisfail Pro Rodeo at the Danes Ranch. And we're down to the final item, or in this case, items. Just some cowboy wisdom and insightful questions I picked up this week. For example, experience is something you don't get until just after you need it. And the hardness of the butter is proportional to the softness of the bread. To steal ideas from one person is plagiarism. To steal from a lot of them is research. And the problem with the gene pool is there's no lifeguard. And the sooner you fall behind, the more time you'll have to catch up. And if at first you don't succeed, Maybe skydiving is not for you. And I like this question. If your car could travel at the speed of light, would your headlights still work? And that's the Rangeland News. Coming up on the Urban Saddles and Western Wear Horse Training File, a horse that performed beautifully in the arena was a totally different critter out on the trail. And I'll talk with the one and only Martin Black when the Spirit of the West continues right after this. Welcome back to the Spirit of the West. Just ahead of the Urban Saddles and Western Wear Horse Training File, here's another one from Alberta rancher Charlie Ewing.
This song is for the wilderness no human shoe has trod, or the lands touched by the mighty hand of God. The barrens of the caribou, the plains of the buffalo, the rocky crags where only mountain goats can go. Song for the wind, song for the wild, song for the wind, song for the wild. It's a land of rushing rivers, you can hear the thunder roll, and prairie fires no human can control. Scorching heat in summer, winter's crushing cold, where the laws of Mother Nature take their toll. Song for the wind, song for the wild, song for the wind, song for the wild. This song is for the grizzly, may he always be the king, and the owl and the eagle on the wing. The bugle of a bull elk on a cold October day, as it echoes through the aspens far away. A song for the wind, a song for the wild, a song for the wind, a song for the wild. This song is for the living, it's a song for those who die, a song for those who struggle to survive. This song is for the wilderness and those who would live free. It's a song for the life of you and me. A song for the wind, a song for the wild, a song for the wind, a song for the wild.
Now it's time for the Horse Training File, brought to you by Irvine Tack and Western Wear, Canada's largest Western store.
Experience the true Spirit of the West at Canada's largest Western store, Irvine Tack and Western Wear. If you need a curb strap or a 4-star gooseneck trailer, you'll find it here. A saddle for every rider. Cutters, reiners, penners, trainers, working ranch cowboys, ropers. They have over 1,200 in stock. And they have Western wear for the entire family. And how about a gift card? Shop online at irvinesaddles.ca. Free shipping on orders of over $100. irvinesaddle.ca, 1-877-946-9494. Taking an arena horse out on the trail or through the timbered hills can be more of a challenge than some riders realize. Now, I've seen a lot of examples and talked to a lot of riders that watched a performance horse do an awesome job in the arena, look with a great handle and precision, work cows, and even be roped off of, so they bought the horse to use on the ranch. And many of these folks have said when they got him out in the hills, he was a totally different horse. His head was up and high, his body was tight, and he spooked at every moment and movement and sound in the bush. He didn't seem to know where to put his feet, and when they had to cross limbs and debris on the trail, he had a tough time. Now, it's quite amazing how a horse gets security from his job and the environment he does it in. I've had a few examples of taking a horse to a branding in the early spring for his first ride of the season. And if it's a horse that has had a lot of experience dragging calves, they generally are pretty settled as soon as you ride into the pen and take your rope down. And after several hours of dragging calves, when it's time to move the herd down the trail, sometimes things can really change. Problem is, the horse is getting more security from his job and the location than he is from the rider. And that'll only change when he understands that the rider is a comfortable, safe leader. And that can take a while to get to. Lots of easy rides, sometimes just heading out the gate and far enough away that he shows some anxiety. And then, if you can get him trotting on about an 80 or 100-foot consistent circle to get his systems warm up, well, that can help. Sometimes it can be 10 or 15 minutes of circling in both directions and then heading up the trail until he gets comfortable. If he's used to cattle in the arena, and there are some quiet cattle out in the pasture, it'll often really help to get his mind working with the cattle slowly and easily. On the other hand, taking a seasoned working ranch horse into an arena is usually a much easier transition. The good footing, the company of other horses, and some cattle all seem to make a ranch horse comfortable fairly quickly. I guess that's why most ranch horses do so well when they go to a ranch rodeo, even if it is their first arena experience. And for Irvin Saddles and Western Wear, that's the Horse Training File. Are you looking for family entertainment that celebrates the traditions of the West? The 18th annual Willow Creek Cowboy Gathering is June 15th, 16th, 17th at the Indoor Arena in Stavely, Alberta. Live Western entertainment Friday and Saturday, followed by campfire jam sessions. Sunday morning cowboy breakfast and cowboy church. Musicians and storytellers from all over the West. Details at wccowboygathering.com. Something that makes our horses really comfortable is that daily feeding of Hoffman's Horse Ration. And you can find out more at hoffmanshorseration.com. I've long been an admirer of the bridle horse traditions of California, Nevada, and Idaho and other places. I love watching a good cowboy or buckaroo on a horse that's been brought through the process properly and ridden straight up on the bridle with reins and romal. And I talked with world-class horseman Martin Black about this just the other day.
Seems like whenever I finally get them just about doing what I want and where I want that horse to be, they're too old to do it anymore.
Yeah, by the time you make a good bridle horse, well, then he's about ready for the grandkids.
It seems like it, but you guys bring them along so fast. It's amazing.
Now here's a guy who was really well received at the Kamloops Cowboy Festival a few years ago. In fact, he's really well received everywhere. Dave Stamey.
He smells of horses and juniper smoke. Looks like a sure enough wage-earning cowpoke in search of a job or a meal or a toke, or some angel who's gone astray. He's seen better days, he's seen worse. He gets them all down in music and verse. Some say that he's gifted, some say he's cursed. He's a poet with something to say. His rhythms come from the daily grind, leather and sweat and worried minds, and he puts them together and he makes them shine, all with a turn of a phrase. He speaks in the average day worker's voice, cutting right through all the rattling noise, and you just have to listen, you ain't got a choice. He's a poet, something to say. He's a drink and an idea hustler, a short story rustler. When you ain't looking, he'll steal your woman away. He's an outlaw, he's a crusader, coyote serenader. He's a poet something to say. He sings about things you know to be true, things that are battered and worn clean through, and he leaves the endings all up to you, and he winks as the guitar plays. He's a rogue, a rambler, a working man's friend, shaped by all and by all that has been. He's a snaky word turner in a cutting song pen, a poet with something to say. He's a drink and an idea hustler, a short story rustler, and when you ain't looking, he'll steal your woman away. He's an outlaw, he's a crusader, a coyote serenader. He's a poet with something to say. He's a poet with something to say.
Well, there is a poet with something definitely to say. Coming up in the Cowboy Poetry Spotlight, that'll be Floyd Beard, and some Western music history when the Spirit of the West continues right after this. Welcome back to the Spirit of the West. Time to look back at another classic Western song, and we have dug up another one from the prolific pen of Bob Nolan. Introduced to the public in the 1937 Charles Starrett film Outlaws of the Prairie, it still is one of Bob Nolan's most popular songs, and Bob described it this way: "From the days of Robin Hood, we've all been interested in romantic outlaws. The West had its share of Robin Hoods too, and one of these struck my imagination. The result, the wild yodeling melody of this song. I have read an old English poem called The Highwayman, and it was very impressive to me, so I turned it into a Western atmosphere, and it almost word for word wrote itself." Marty Robbins said this is his favorite too, and it inspired him to write El Paso. The song was registered for copyright October 9, 1937, and the sheet music was included in Bob Nolan's folio of original cowboy classics #1 in 1939. It proved to be such an audience pleaser that the Sons of the Pioneers recorded it for Columbia in 1937 and again in 1963, and they included it on most of their radio transcriptions. Now, this version is from the second newest Sons of the Pioneers album. Now, the tenor spot in the group, of course, had been occupied by some wonderful singers. First one was founding member Tim Spencer, then Lloyd Perryman, then the great Rusty Richards, and most recently, and still there, Ken Lattimore, in the very captivating Bob Nolan classic, Song of the Bandit.
Long, long ago in old Wyoming lived a maid, fair as the sweetest flower blooming in the shade. She loved a bandit boy who roamed the prairie o'er, and every night she'd listen for his call. And far to the west his voice came ringing, riding the wild horse he came singing, Helio, yip-I-oli-yay. Helio, yip-I-oli, yip-I-oli-yay. He brings the token of his love. Swift as the wind he goes, high in the hills, you know she's waiting for his Helio, yip-I-oli-yay. Helio, yip-I-oli-yay. One day he rode away, but never to return. Danger was waiting, now his love was never yearned. Long days and lonely nights she waited all in vain, till winter passed and summer came again. Still every night when the moon came shining, for a song her heart was pining, Helio, yip-I-oli-yay. Helio, yip-I-oli, yip-I-oli-yay. He brings the token of his love. Swift as the wind he goes, high in the hills, you know she's waiting for his Helio, yip-I-oli-yay. Helio, yip-I-oli-yay. night an angel brought a message from her love. Told her he waited in the starry sky above. Softly she closed her eyes and bade the angel go, and then the whole world echoed to his song. For straight down the moonbeam he came riding, down from the sky on a wing horse riding. Helio, yip-I-o-li-yay. Helio, yip-I-o-li, yip-I-o-li-yay. He brings token of his love. Swift as the wind he goes, high in the hills he knows she's waiting for his helio, yip-I-o-li-yay. Helio, yip-I-o-li-yay. Helio, yip-I-o-li-yay.
Now that one will be stuck in your mind for the next 2 weeks, I'm sure. And now, here's a poet with something to say, Floyd Beard.
We were standing around the branding fire, swapping some old yarns, getting jobs and tools lined out and waiting on the irons. The calves and cows penned nearby were singing their misery. It's a western style of branding time on the high plains wide and free. We were in the saddle 'fore daylight was pinking up the east, and the cooks began in the early morn building up a branding feast. Then a call sings out, the irons are hot, punch a hole in your twine. Drag some calves round to the crew and we'll brand 'em up just fine. I can hear that din a building, a branding symphony, cattle bawling, burners roaring, cowboys singing out wild and free. A calf gets roped and a cow heads out, and they cut her back on a dime. Cattle country rituals, a western branding time. The sun grows high and the irons grow hot and heat builds all around. Dark stained shirts, smoke and dust, a breath of air cannot be found. Humming ropes catch those heels, calves drag to the crew. Soon as one's done, another one comes till the last one's been run through. Then it's noontime now, the fire's turned down, there's teasing all around. The young bucks take the brunt of it, sitting cross-legged on the ground. But the food is good, the drinks are cold, plates piled high and free. Picnic on the branding ground, about the best you'll ever see. Then the work moves on, each does his share, the day goes fading by, with laughter, yells, and bawling calves as the sun arcs through the sky. A rope gets pulled beneath a tail, the blow-up's on a colt. Cowboy sticks to the saddle seat, but he takes a mighty jolt. Then it's quiet now, the cattle's paired, the work's done for the day. The cowboys have all gathered round, someone's showing off a bay. But the tools are packed and the food is stored. He's coiling up his twine. Neighbors helping neighbors, a western life so fine. Can you hear it? Can you hear that din of building, that branding symphony with cattle bawling and burners roaring and cowboys singing out wild and free? A calf gets roped and a cow heads out and they cut her back on a dime. Cattle country rituals, a western branding time.
Well, thank you so much for riding along today, and I sure hope you can join us right here next week at the same time. And again, thanks to our great support crew, Mark and Kathy McMillan at Meadow Springs Guest Ranch. And depending on when you're hearing this, they're with us as we sail to Alaska on the Spirit of the West cruise. And for information on our next cruise, and it'll be something we have never done before, and I think you're going to like it, go to our website, hugh-mclennan.com, and check our Facebook cruise page. All of our cruisers will be receiving a complimentary issue of the latest issue of Canadian Cowboy Country Magazine. You can subscribe at cowboycountrymagazine.com or give them a call at 1-800-943-7336. Till next week, I'm Hugh McLennan. Hope to see you down the trail somewhere real soon.